The topic that we're talking about over here is the two different types of energies that come from Hashem. One is called Memala Kalalman and one is called Sevo Kalalman. We're still in the middle of the larger topic of Avas Hashem, but we're going to return to that in Mitzvah Hashem in the next parak. So last week we explained that there's the Ein Sof of Hashem, the infinite light of Hashem, the uncontracted light of Hashem, and that Oyer is called Sevo Kalalman. And the word Sevo Kalalman literally means that it surrounds the worlds. But Dr. Rebbe explains it doesn't mean that it literally surrounds the worlds, but rather Sevo Kalalman means that the light, because it is so lofty, because it is so high, and because it is so infinite, so it's not revealed in the world. It's not revealed. And then there's another Ur called Memala Kalalman. Memala Kalalman is the Ur that's B'tzimtzum, the Ur which is contracted. It's the Ur which is already a finite type of Ur, a finite type of energy. And that's called Memala Kalalman. That fills the worlds. Another world, it's the Ur which every single world is able to relate to on its level. So which comes into the world on its level. I don't remember exactly where we ended last time.
What page is it?
We're going to start on page Samachas, which is opposite of page 134. Start 4 lines from the top. Hilkach, therefore, because we know that the worlds are limited, they're finite. Nimtza, so it turns out she'ein hashpas eir ein soif mislabesh umizgala bam bebechinas gilui. It must be that the energy of the infinite light of Hashem doesn't come and enclose itself and reveal itself in the worlds in a revealed way, because if that were to be the case, then the worlds also would be infinite. Rak, rather, ma'at miz'eir, only a small little amount. Ha'ara mu'etes mitzumtzemes miyoid, a very small and limited type of light. Mitzumtzemes miyoid, very, very limited. V'hi rak k'dei lachyoisam, and this is only in order to be able to give them life, b'bechinas gbul v'tachlis, that the world should be able to live and exist in a limited form and in a finite form. But the essential light, which is called Sevav Kalalman, which is not that contracted, Nikra Makif is Sevav, it's called that it surrounds the worlds, because its impact and its influence is not revealed in the world, because the worlds are limited, so therefore the unlimited light, its effect is not revealed in the worlds, and that's why it's called Sevav, not because it literally surrounds, it's actually within every single creation, but at the same time, because its effect isn't felt, it's like it goes over its head, it's something which is not revealed within it. And let's bring a practical example of where this is the case. The physical earth, the physical globe. Even though we know the pasuk says that that the entire earth is filled with Hashem's kavod. And what does this mean? When we say Hashem's kavod, we don't mean some sort of limited form of light. We're not talking about Memala Kalalman. When we say that Hashem's kavod fills the entire world, we're talking about Eir Ein Sof Baruch Hu. We're talking about the unlimited light of Hashem. Sevav Kalalman. Every single part of this of the world, every single centimeter of the globe is filled with the Eir HaSeviv. Kamei Shekatsuv, as the pasuk says, Haloyes Hashemayim v'Sa'aretz Ani Malinu Hashem. Hashem says, the heavens and the earth, I fill them all. And the word Ani, when Hashem says I is not a reference to some sort of limited, contracted form of light. The word, when Hashem says Ani or Anoichi, He's not referring to Memala Kalalman, but He's talking about Hashem Himself, the unlimited Hashem. So every single centimeter of this world is filled with Hashem, with the Sevav Kalalman. And afal pikein, nevertheless, ein mislabish b'toich bebechinas gili hashpa. When you want to know what is there, what is enclosed in a revealed way, rak chayis ma'at mezeh, revealed in this world, is only a very, very limited form of energy. Bechinas doimim v'tzemeach levad. We're talking about the physical world, we're talking about the globe. What kind of energy is in there? So you have doimim, you have the earth, and you have stones, that's all doimim, that's inanimate, and then you have also the things that grow from the earth. That's tzemeach, that which grows. And that's a very, very limited form of energy. It's the lowest form of energy possible. There's barely any, take a stone, what kind of energy is perceptible in a stone? Zero. And in a plant also, how much energy is in a plant compared to, for example, how much life and energy there is in an animal, or how much life and energy there is in a human being. We're talking about a very, very limited form of energy. We're saying that within the stone and within this blade of grass, there's also the Seif of Kalalman, there's also the unlimited light of Hashem. So the whole Eir Ein Seif Baruch Hu, the entire unlimited light of Hashem, Nikra Seif of Aleha, it surrounds it. Afshu b'toicha mamash, even though that it is within it. So what do you mean when we say that it surrounds it? That means that the impact of the Eir Ein Sof, of the Seif of Kalalman, is not revealed within the stone, within the piece of earth, within the tree. Yoiser, it's not revealed in it more. Rak mashpia ba bechinas hester v'helam. Its impact is completely hidden. V'chol hashbas bechinas hester. Whenever there is an influence, but in a hidden way, nikra makif milamayla. That's called that it surrounds, it encompasses. Ki alma deskasya, because the hidden world, hulamayla b'madrega mi alma deskalya, is higher than the revealed world. So therefore, something which is hidden is because it's from a higher level. So the fact that the Seif of Kalalman is hidden, whereas Mamala Kalalman is revealed, is because Seif of Kalalman is on a higher level. And now the Alter Rebbe is going to take it a little deeper and give us some mashal. But before we do this, we need to explain what is still bothering the Alter Rebbe. We're saying there's Mamala Kalalman. Mamala Kalalman is the light, is the energy, which tailors itself for every single individual creation that there is. So for example, the Mamala Kalalman that's in a rock is not the same level as the Mamala Kalalman which is in a tree, which is not the same Mamala Kalalman level which is in an animal, which is not the same as in a human being, which is not the same as there are in a malach, which is not the same as there is in Atzilus. The Mamala Kalalman is also known as the kav, which is like a measuring stick. It measures out a specific amount of light within every single, and amount of energy to every single creation. And therefore, every single creation is given the amount of light and energy that could be revealed in it, and that it can accept according to its parameters and according to its limitations. Seif of Kalalman, we say, is equally everywhere. So it's also within everything, but it's equally everywhere. But it's hidden. It's hidden because it's so lofty. So one might think that while Seif of Kalalman, the Eir Ein Sof, is present everywhere, but it does not relate to any of the individual creations in an individual way. It's equally present everywhere, and it totally ignores their differences. It's not present in their differences. All it is, it's there. It's there everywhere, but because it's so lofty, it cannot relate to the individual limitation and definition and form of the areas where it is. It's just there everywhere equally. And the Alter Rebbe says, no, that's not the way it is. When we say Seif of Kalalman is in every single thing, in every single world, in every single place, we don't just mean it's there generally, but Seif of Kalalman also is there in the details of every single object. It relates also to the details and to the definition and the defined form of every single place where it is. And nevertheless, it's in a hidden way. So it's not just Seva Kalaman everywhere, but it ignores the differences. Seva Kalaman is actually present also in the differences. However, once again, it's in a hidden form. But how's that possible? If it's so lofty,
How could it be?
and if it's infinite, and not only that,
how could it be in every form that's finite?
how could it be in every form that's finite? And also, if it is in every form that's finite, then why is it hidden? It should be able to be revealed. So Dr. Rebbe is going to give an example of this.
Contradiction in itself.
Yeah. 8 lines from the bottom. To bring this a little closer to our minds. Hu b'derech mashal. Dr. Rebbe says he's going to give a mashal. Adam. Take for example a person. That he imagines in his mind something shara, which he has seen, a sharaya, which he's currently seeing. So let's say a person once saw a beautiful mountain, a beautiful scenery, and he's right now, or he might be even looking at it right now, and in the mind he is envisioning that entire vision, that entire object, that entire scenery. What do we have over here? The entire essence of that thing which is being seen or being imagined. V'gaboy, its back, v'toichoy, its inside, v'toich, the inside of its inside. Kuloi is entirely mitzuyir b'daitei machshavtoi, is completely painted and envisioned within the person's mind, within the person's thoughts. Because the person has seen the entire thing, or he's currently seeing it. So you can say the person's mind is actually encompassing that entire item. Okay, so maybe a mountain is, but let's say a person has a car. And in the mind, he's in his house right now, but he's right now thinking of the car. And right now in his mind, he has the entire car. The outside, the inside, the seats, the glove compartment, the trunk, what's in the trunk, the muffler, everything. It's all encompassed within the person's mind. So here we have an interesting phenomenon. It's not all, the person, in the person's mind, the person is imagining every single detail of the car. The car is encompassed in the person's mind, but the car is completely unaware of that. Let's say it's a person. Let's say you're imagining a friend of yours in your mind. So at this moment, that person is completely encompassed in your mind, but that's not in any way begilui revealed to the object that's being encompassed, right? To the subject. Rak, however, she'eni mukif bepoil mamish. We know that person or that object is not actually encompassed in your mind. The car is not in your mind. The person is not in your mind. Rak b'dimyin machshavas ha'adam v'daita. It's only in your imagination. But it's not only in your imagination, because we know that every single person, every single object is made up of the physical and the spiritual. So even though when you're imagining your friend, the physical body of your friend is not encompassed in your mind, but the spiritual form of the person is in your mind at the moment. In a spiritual sense, the person is right now being encompassed in your mind. That is the way it is by human being. But by Hashem, that regarding Hashem it says, His thoughts are not like our thoughts. In which ways his thoughts not like ours? Hashem's thoughts and Hashem's knowledge. The fact that he is aware of all of the creations. Makefes kol nivra v'nivra encompasses every single creation. Mireishay v'atachtisay, from the top until the bottom. V'teichai, and the creations inside. V'teichteichai, and the inside of the inside. Hakoil b'poil mamish. Actually. So again, by a human being, when you imagine something else, you're only encompassing it in your imagination. You're encompassing, you might want to say, the spiritual element of that item. When Hashem has knowledge of something, He's encompassing not only the spiritual, but also the physical. So every single thing is encompassed in Hashem's mind. L'mashal, therefore, for example, Kadur Aretz Halazu, the physical globe, Hashem's Yidiyah Makefes Kol Uve Kadur Aretz, encompasses the entire width of the globe, V'chol Asher B'tochi, everything that's inside the globe, V'toich Tochi, and inside what's inside of it, At Tachtise, to the very bottom, Hakel B'poil Mamish. Literally, Shaharei, because Yidiyah Zu Hi Chayis Kol Uvi Kadur Aretz Kulay. This knowledge of Hashem is the energy of the entire globe. V'yisavusay ma'ayin liyash. Why does it exist? Because Hashem knows about it. If Hashem didn't know about it, it wouldn't exist. So here we have an example that on the one hand, Hashem's knowledge, which is the Eir Ein Sof, encompasses every single creation. And not only the general form, but also actually the details of every single form, just like a person is imagining an object, every detail is in the mind, but it's not begilui. So as it turns, it's not revealed. So as it turns out, it's like a one-way mirror. It's a one-way obstruction. From Hashem's perspective, as a shemayim v'sa'aretz ani mali, Soivev Kalalman is everywhere, not only everywhere in general, but also aware of, and it is the essence of the details of every single thing. But that's not revealed in the world. What's revealed in the world? The world would not be created as it is now, Balbul v'tachlis. A limited world, the chayis mu'etes miyoid, with such a limited amount of chayis, kedei b'chines doimim v'tzemeach, as is the case with the inanimate, and as is the case with something that grows. If not for an incredible amount of tzimtzumim, incredible amount of contractions, these contractions contract the light and the energy, which enters the globe, to make sure to give it existence and sustenance in a way that it should remain limited. And it should be only doimim and semeach and not any more than that. So on the one hand, from Hashem's perspective, the Soiva Kalalman, He's there everywhere. And they're within everything, and within every single detail. But at the same time, it's Soivev. Why is it Soivev? Because from the perspective from the perspective of the creations, this level of infinite light is completely concealed. And the reason why the world exists in the way it is, which is in a limited form, is because of the second type of energy, which is Mamalak Alman, which is the contracted light.
I don't remember which Navi said about Hashem. He said, "Hayisater ish b'mistarim v'ani lo enu."
Right.
That's exactly what you're saying.
Right. Hashem is everywhere and sees everything in every single detail, and that's not only Mamalak Alman, but also Soiva Kalalman. Yes?
So, what's creating it? Soivev or Mamalak?
Both.
So it seems like what's creating it in a bigger picture is Soivev.
Yes.
And when it gets to details is Mamalak.
Mamalak Alman is the contracted light which gives it its which is revealed in it, and therefore allows it to be unlimited. Because if the Soiva Kalalman was revealed in it, it would not be limited. So it's the combination of both together that gives it the light.
So when it's created, it doesn't feel it, but then...
It's both together. It's not like one and the other. They both come together, and one is in a revealed way, and one is not in a revealed way. However, Yidiyah Yizbarach, Hashem's Yidiyah Ham Yuchedes b'Muhusei Vatzmusai, Hashem's knowledge, again, which is absolutely one with His essence. And by the way, from right now, from the words Kihu Amad Avu Yedeya until the asterisk, which is 4 lines later, is a parentheses. Okay, so Hashem's Yidiyah, which is one with Him, and actually let's skip it for a second. Had Yidiyah Zu, we'll come back to it. Had Yidiyah Zu, This knowledge, because it's unlimited, is not considered enclosed in the globe, which is of a limited form. Ella, rather, it surrounds it. Even though that this knowledge includes the entire width and the inside mamash of the world, literally, and through this knowledge, Hashem creates it from nothing to something, and as is explained elsewhere. And now let's go back to where we skipped. When we're talking about, he says, that Hashem's knowledge, which is one with Him, so the Alter Rebbe here brings down that which the Rambam says. This is something which we've discussed in Tanya several times in the past. That Hashem's knowledge, when we're saying that it's one with Him, is because Hashem's knowledge is very different than human knowledge. Human knowledge is when a person knows something, there are three different things that are coming into play over here. There is the Yodea, the knower, that would be the person. Then there's the Mada, which is the knowledge. So if I become aware of something, so let's say I become aware of whatever it may be, that there's a cup on the table over here. So I have knowledge right now in my head. That's the Mada. There's the person, the Yodea. The knowledge, the new knowledge that I have is the Mada. And then there's the Yadua. And the Yadua is the thing that is known. So that would be the cup over here. That is what I'm aware of. And by the human being, these three are all distinct. There is me, and there is my knowledge, and we're not the same thing. We're not one and the same. Proof being that I was around before I had that knowledge. So therefore the knowledge is something which is added on to me. It's not me myself, it's something that's added on to me. And by the way, tomorrow I might forget it, which goes to show that it's not part of who I am, because if it was part of who I am, I wouldn't be able to forget it. And then obviously the cup is something which is separate from who I am. The Rambam comes along and the Rambam says an incredible statement. The Rambam says that by Hashem, Hu Hamada, Hu Yedea, Hu Yadua, all these three are one. That by Hashem and His knowledge and that which is known is all one. So therefore, and the Rambam says this is not something which, in case you're trying to wrap your brain around it and figure that out, the Rambam says give up before you begin. Because we can only relate to things that are within our experience. And within our experience, we don't know what that means. But because Hashem is Achdus Pshuta, this is a very important idea. Because Hashem is absolutely one, and nothing is ever added to Hashem, Hashem isn't like a human being. A human being, a human being is made up of multiple components, multiple physical components, and multiple spiritual components. We're a composite, that's why we're so complex. And that's why we can't figure out our wives, and our wives can't figure out us. Because there's so many different aspects to who we are. Not only physically. Physically, of course, we're made up of 613 limbs, 248 limbs and 365, and all these different parts. But also, spiritually speaking, we have so many different, our psyche is so many different components. And when we say Hashem is Echad, Hashem is one, we don't just mean there's one Hashem. Just like there's one you, and there's one you, and there's one me, there's one Hashem. But Hashem Echad in a deeper sense means that Hashem is absolutely one. He's not a composite. Hashem is not made up of multiple components. So therefore the problem is when we say that Hashem knows something and Hashem is aware of something, so then the problem becomes that's an added component to Hashem. Says the Rambam, no, by Hashem there are no added components. Hashem and His Chachma and His Yediyah are absolutely one. And not only that, says the Rambam, not only is Hashem one with His Yediyah, but also with the Yadua. Also everything that Hashem knows is also part of Him. And therefore the Rambam continues and says, the fact that Hashem is aware of everything that's going on in all the creations he's aware of it by virtue of the fact that he's aware of himself. V'lei biyadiyah shechutz mimenu, not through knowledge that's outside of the person. Ki yadiyah sa'adam, like the knowledge of a person. Ki kulam nimtzoyim amitasi yizbarach, because everything comes from Hashem. So, for example, I think we spoke about this a few parakim ago. If someone went and slapped you, so how would you know about it? Would you need picture evidence? Would he have to tell you? No.
You felt it.
Yediyas atzma, you know it because you know yourself. There are some things that are outside of you have to be made aware of. But yediyas atzma, then there's your self-knowledge. Because by Hashem, hu hayodua, not only is he one with his knowledge, but also with that which is known. So when Hashem knows something, it's not pshat that he knows something which is outside of him. Because he is one with all of his creations, and all his creations are one with him, so therefore, he automatically is aware of everything that goes on in the world. We learned about this a few parakim ago, but we were wondering about how does Hashem know everything that's going on. V'davar zeh, and this idea, ein b'yichaylo sa'adam la'sigi al buriya v'chuli. The Rambam says, this is something which is... the human being cannot fully understand this. In other words, we accept that Hashem is one with his knowledge. We accept that Hashem is also one with everything that he knows. But to be able to say that we actually understand this and get it is impossible, because we don't have that in our experience. This idea of actus pshuta, of absolute oneness, is not something that we have in our experience at all. And this, when the Rambam is talking about this, the idea of Seva Kalam. Now, we have to be aware that although the Rambam says this, the Rambam says that Hashem, hu v'chachma se'echad, that he is one with his chachma, and he is one with his knowledge. The Maharal has had a big problem with the Rambam, and the Maharal objected, and the Maharal said that to say that Hashem is one with his chachma, you can't say that, because then you're defining Hashem as Chachma, which is limited. And Hashem is unlimited. And if Hashem and Chachma are one, that means Hashem is defined as Chachma. Then how can you go about defining Hashem? When we know, the Maharal says, that when we talk about Hashem, what do we say? We say HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What is HaKadosh Baruch Hu? The word HaKadosh means removed and separate. The one quality and characteristic that we know about Hashem is that he is removed and beyond everything. So how can we say that about Hashem, that he is one with Chachma? That's what the Maharal says. So the Alter Rebbe is aware of this, and the Haggah, in this note over here, the Alter Rebbe says, this idea that Hu v'Chachma Seyacha, that Hashem is one with his Chachma, that's what the Rambam says. And even though the Maharal disagrees with the Rambam, V'skimu imay Chachmei HaKabbalah, the Chachmei HaKabbalah agreed with the Rambam. So is written in the Pardes, which is written by the Ramak. The Ramak, Ramoshe Cordovero, was the teacher of the Arizal. V'cheinu lefi Kabbalas Arizal, and the Arizal also agrees with it. The Kabbalah today, which is accepted, is the Kabbalah of the Arizal. In the certain places where the Arizal disagreed with his teacher, the Ramak, and we in general, we follow the Kabbalah of the Arizal. And also according to the Kabbalah of the Arizal, the Rambam is correct. What's with what the Maharal says? The Maharal seemingly has a good kasha. Sorry?
Why would that be different than the saying Yisrael v'Oraisa v'Chadru? Why is that different from that?
It's not.
Huh?
So you're saying, what would the Maharal do? What would the Maharal do with that? It's a good question, but based on our answer over here, we'll have an answer to that also. So the Rebbe says, "B'soid hatzimtzumim v'hislapshus oiros b'kelim." The Rambam is correct. After Hashem is contracted and the oiros, the lights, enter the kelim, enter the vessels, Commission is Borel Perik Beis, as explained earlier in Perik Beis. So Kabbalah actually, and especially Chassidus Chabad, they make a compromise between the Maharal and the Rambam, and they say they're both right. You know the famous joke, you're right, and you're also right. So they're both correct. The Rambam is describing Hashem from Atzilus and further. And therefore, once, as we'll see soon, once the light of Hashem enters the world of Atzilus, there we can say Hu v'chachmasa yachad. Whereas the Maharal is referring to Hashem as he is higher than Atzilus. Higher than Atzilus, the Maharal is absolutely correct that we cannot say that Hashem is one with Chachma, because at that point Hashem is completely removed from any sort of definition or any sort of qualification.
This is the Maharal Prague.
Maharal Prague, yes. Now, the world of Atzilus is the first world where there are what's called Kalim. We know Chassidus and Kabbalah talks about Oiris and Kalim, the light and the vessels. The Oir is the energy of Hashem, and the energy of Hashem is absolutely what's called Pashut. It's undefined. It's not Chachma, it's not Bina, it's not anything. It's absolutely undefined. The infinite light of Hashem. But in the world of Atzilus, that light enters what's called the 10 Kalim, the 10 vessels. One is Chachma, one is Bina, one is Das, one is Chesed, and Gvura, etc.
They're tuned in to each virtue.
Sorry?
If each keli is tuned into each of the chachma, what do you call gvura?
It's like, for example, your neshama has the koyach to see.
Say that again?
Your neshama has what's called koyach hariyah, the koyach to see. But it can't see unless it enters the eye. And if there's a problem with the eye, even though your neshama has the capacity to see, the eye is the keli. The koyach hariyah is the oir, and the eye is the keli. You have the koyach of seichel, but without the brain, the koyach of seichel cannot express itself. So the same thing, the Eibishter he has, but it's a little different what I'm saying. By Hashem, you have the oir, which is pashut. You have simple energy, but then when it enters the kelim, then the energy becomes chesed, gvura, tferes, chachma, bina, das, etc.
But there were parts of the Aura Pashut. They existed
By way
as
of
one entity. Then you're able to filter out each one separately through the kelim.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Aura Pashut, there had to be these quantities.
No, oir pashut is, for example, if you have a socket in the wall which provides electricity,
Yeah, all right.
and then you plug in a toaster, so now this energy is toasting bread.
Yeah.
You plug in a refrigerator, and now this energy is making things cold. So is this energy an energy that makes things cold, or is it energy that makes things hot? How do you have the same energy making one thing cold or one thing hot? And the answer is the energy is the same, but the keli that the energy entered is different. The keli takes certain energy, and this energy, it converts it into an appliance which makes things hot, and another one, it makes things cold. And the same thing is also, the very same energy enters the keli of chesed, the infinite light of Hashem, and suddenly we have over here is Hashem acting in kind ways. Why? When you see Hashem acting in ways of kindness, what does that mean? That means that the infinite light of Hashem, which essentially has no tzir, it has no definition, but it enters the keli, the spiritual keli of chesed, and now what results of that is that we have kindness in the world. And then when when the energy enters gevura, so the result is that we have justice in the world. And then when it enters teferes, we have rachmim. When it enters chachma, etc. So higher than the world of Atzilus before the oiris enter the kelim. So over there, Taka, we can't say hu v'chachma seyechad, because over there Hashem is removed from chachma, infinitely removed from chachma. He's infinitely removed from everything. But as Hashem enters the kelim of the spheres of Atzilus, so over there, in the kelim of the world of Atzilus, over there already, you have Hashem being there. You can say Hashem actually unites with the Chachma, and who the Chachma Seyechad, as you know, in the world of Atzilus, the Chachma is actually one with Hashem. Which again, we don't understand what that means, that the Chachma being one with Him, because we're used to all these composite things, but that's the way it is in the world of Atzilus.
How do you read the last words, the last line?
So according to the Kabbalah of the Arizal, the Rambam is correct. But when is the Rambam correct? Through the secret of Tzimtzum, when Hashem contracts Himself, The slabshus eiris bekelim, and the eiris become contracted and they enter the kelim, as explained earlier, Perek Beis. Now, what's interesting is that it's something for those who are familiar with Tanya. One of the, you might want to say, interesting things of Tanya, peculiarities. How do you say the word?
Peculiar.
Is that although in Chassidus you learn a lot about different madrigas levels in Elokus, including levels which are higher than Atzilus, Keser, Yidgimel Midas Harachim, and Elam Hatoyu, etc. In Tanya, we don't talk about anything higher than Atzilus. The Alter Rebbe does not address higher than Atzilus in Tanya. When I say Tanya, I mean in the first in Likutei Amarim. Later on in Tanya, he does. In the later Sfarim of Tanya, doesn't address anything higher than Atzilus. From the lens of Tanya, Sovev Kol is the world of Atzilus, because he's not talking about higher than Atzilus. So Sovev Kol is Atzilus, and Memala Kol is the contracted oyer that enters afterwards the worlds of the lower worlds, the worlds of Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya.
But they have kelim too.
Sorry?
In order to contract, or what does the contractor? You have to have the kelim to makabel the or to, so that's a form of contraction in itself. You say a kelim that it has what do you call has a finite space, finite area.
Right.
That in itself.
But even though
you're putting something that's
so, even though Atzilus, okay, I think we've spoken about this before. Generally speaking, there are three different levels of everything can be divided into three. There is the worlds of Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya. The worlds of Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya is creation. And then there's the Ein Sof, the unlimited light of Hashem, which is Hashem himself, an emanation of Hashem. And then there's the world of Atzilus, which is in between the two. The world of Atzilus, on the one hand, that's not a creation. It's the word Atzilus means it's emanation, it's an emanation of Hashem. But it's Hashem as he already assumes some sort of limited form. Meaning that Hashem, at that point already, the Eiris come into the Kelim. Hashem as he expresses himself through Chachma, Bina, Das, Chesed, Gvura, Teferes.
so there is tzimtzum at that point too.
There already is Tzimtzum over there, correct. So throughout Chassidus and throughout Kabbalah, when we're talking about Eiri and stuff, we're talking about Sovev Kol Alman, we're referring to higher than Atzilus. Atzilus is already part of the Memala Kol Alman. And again, it depends where you're talking about. Sometimes you'll say that Sovev Kol Alman is higher than Atzilus. Sometimes you'll say Sovev Kol Alman is higher than what's called Tzimtzum Arishin. I don't want to get into this. But it all depends. In other words, Memala and Sovev are relative terms. A lower level is Memala compared to a higher level, which is Sovev. But in Tanya, again, we don't talk higher than Atzilus. So in Tanya, when it talks about the Eir and Sof, when it talks about Hashem himself, it's the world of Atzilus. So there's only two, there aren't three. Even though in other places in Chassidus, Kabbalah, everything is divided into three. In Tanya, it's divided into two. There's Atzilus, which is godliness, and that's Hashem himself. The light there is not Hu v'chachmat yachad. Even though the Taka, it's Chachma Bina Das, but it's absolutely one with Hashem, and then there's creation. So over here, when we're talking about Sovev Kol Alman, we're talking here about the world of Atzilus. In fact, if you're going to look at next Perek, which we'll start with Hashem next week, Perek Mem Tes, the Alter Rebbe says, but in order from Sovev Kol Alman to come a Malach Alman, we need incredible tzimtzumim. And those are the tzimtzumim that get us to the worlds of Bri, Yitzir, and Asiya. So it's very clear that Alter Rebbe, when he's talking about Sovev Kol Alman, is referring to the world of Atzilus, which is unusual. For whatever reason, we can hazard different guesses, but for whatever reason, in Tanya and Likutei Amarim, the Alter Rebbe chose not to talk about higher than Atzilus, even though in his other Amarim he talks about it all the time. Look in Likutei Torah, always talks about higher than Atzilus. But in Tanya, he chose to, I guess, he wanted to talk within a frame of reference which is somewhat comprehensible to us, because Tanya is supposed to be a practical guide to life, and he didn't want to talk about Eir and Sof, which has zero relevance in relation to us.
I have a question, I don't know if it's related. Why the Alter Rebbe called Tanya Tanya? I don't know if he spoke.
He didn't.
It's the first word.
He didn't.
So who called it Tanya?
It became known as Tanya, because that's the first word. The Alter Rebbe called Tanya Likutei Amarim and Sefer Shel Beinina. It's a name that became popular. Obviously, it's Hashgacha Pratis that it became popular afterwards, but that's not the name the Alter Rebbe gave it. But let's move on over here. So here, the Alter Rebbe is talking Sovev Kol Alman. The Alter Rebbe is talking Sovev Kol Alman, But he says Seva Kol is Huva Chachmasa Yechad, which is, again, for those people who are a little familiar with the larger body of Chassidus, might be confused. Because here in the Haggadah he's saying that what? That where do we have Huva Chachmasa Yechad that's only in the world of Atzilus, Eiris and Kalim? But here he's referring to Seva Kol. But yeah, because here in Tanya, Seva Kol is synonymous with the world of Atzilus, because Atzilus is completely transcendent and above all of creation. And from Seva Kol there has to be a big tzimtzum. And the Ma'ala Kol is the oir which comes into the lower worlds of Bria, Yitzir, and Asiya. So in the context of Tanya over here, that he's saying that Seva Kol is synonymous with the world of Atzilus, so therefore, Hu v'chachmasa yachon is taka a reference to Seva Kol. However, in the Haggadah, the Alter Rebbe says really there's higher than that, which gives us a little understanding that really there's higher than Seva, really there's higher than Atzilus, because there's the Madrega, what the Maharal is referring to, which is the Oyer of Hashem, which is completely beyond Chachma also.
It's not definitive altogether. You can't define it because it's infinite.
That's completely undefinable. Correct. So with this we've concluded Perek Memches, and so what we learned in Perek Memches is just to recap very quickly. Perek Memches we learned that there are two forms of energy that emanates from Hashem, and two ways in which Hashem interacts with the world. One of which is called Seva Kol, which is the uncontracted light of Hashem, the Eir Ein Sof, which again in this Perek the Alter Rebbe says is synonymous with the world of Atzilus. And then and even though that's present everywhere, but it's completely hidden from us because it's beyond creation. And then there is a lower level, which is called a Ma'ala Kol. That's a very, very small little ray of light, contracted ray of light, and that's what enters the worlds of Bria, Yitzir, and Asiya, to give them creation. We have a few minutes left, so I want to talk a few inyanim, depending on how long it will take, but which are related to what we're talking about over here. One of them is there's a beautiful sikha from the Rebbe. I don't remember if we ever spoke about the sikha before, but we understand it even more beautifully after what we learned in this Perek. Perek K of Pirkei Avos begins with a Mishnah, Ba'asara mamares nivra ha'olam. The world was created with 10 utterances. And the Mishnah immediately asks, why did Hashem create the world with 10 utterances? Hashem couldn't create it with one. And you think about it for a second. If Hashem created the world with 10 utterances and not a billion, as you think it would take, he did in 10, he could have done it in one also. So why did he create the world with 10 utterances? What does the Mishnah answer? The Mishnah says that there are two reasons why Hashem created the world with 10 utterances rather than with one. And one of them is to punish the Rishoyim, who destroy the world that was created with 10 utterances. In other words, if someone does a rasha who does Averis is destroying the world that Hashem created. Every mitzvah you're doing is not just you're hurting yourself, you're destroying the world also in a small way. So when it comes for a time for a rasha to get his punishment, so if the world was created only with one utterance, then it would be a small punishment. Why? Because the world is not so valuable. How much effort did Hashem already invest into it? He only put in one maimer into it. So therefore the punishment would be a small punishment. But now that Hashem created the world with 10 utterances, and Hashem put in so much effort and so much energy into it, so therefore the rasha deserves a bigger punishment because he's destroying something which Hashem put more work into.
Why 10, not 20 or 30 or 40 or 100?
Okay, that's a good question. By the time we finish, you'll have the answer to that also. And then the Mishnah continues, and litein sachar toiv l'sadikim, to give great reward to the tzaddikim, shemekayim min elam shenivra basar mamaris. Because what does tzaddikim do? Tzaddikim sustain the world which was created with asar mamaris, with 10 mamaris. So the Rebbe asks a question on this Mishnah, and it's a seemingly obvious question. You can imagine that Hashem is about to create the world. Imagine the scene. Hashem is about to create the world. and He's going to create the world with one utterance. And Hashem says, no, stop. I can't do that. If I create the world with one utterance, when a Yid does an Aveira, I'm not going to be able to punish him enough. And that doesn't work for me. So therefore, I'm going to create the world now with Asara Mamaris. I'm going to create the world with 10 Mamaris. And then when someone does an Aveira, oh boy, is he going to get it. I'll be able to punish them so much more Gishmak. Be able to put them in Gehenna for a long time. Does that fit our vision of Hashem, of Avinu, of Arachman, our Father, that when He created the world, that why is He creating it with 10 Mamaris?
Punish.
To be able to exact greater punishment. You would say, if it was the other way, you would say that Hashem was supposed to create it with 10. He said, no, I want to create it with 1 to minimize the punishment. Okay, that would make sense. But to go through that extra effort to be able to punish us some more?
Good question.
Now the truth, it's a very good question. And the truth is, the Mishnah continues and says to give reward to the tzaddikim. Okay, that's a good reason. That's a good reason. That by Hashem creating the world with 10 utterances, He gives more reward, and that goes very well. That corresponds with our understanding of Hashem, a person who's toiv, who's good, and wants to be meitiv. But incredibly, that's the second reason the Mishnah gives. It's not even the first. We know that the order in Torah is Torah. The first reason is the primary reason, and a second reason, the reason why it's given second, because the secondary, if that was the more important reason, the Mishnah would have said the reason why is Litin Sachar Tov L'Tzadikim and Lihipar Ramin Arashayim. So not only is it what even if it was reversed, even if it was first the Tzadikim then the Rishayim, we still have the question: why would Hashem want to create the world with 10 Mamaris to punish Rishayim? But it's the first. So obviously there's something over here that we need to understand better. So the Rebbe explains, based on Chassidus and Kabbalah, what does it mean 10 Mamaris versus 1 Maimer? So the Rebbe says the 10 Mamaris correspond to the 10 Spheres. Those are the 10 tools with which Hashem created the world. Every one of the utterances corresponds to one of the 10 spheres, because Hashem created the world with using the 10 tools of Chachma Bina Das, and every Maimer represents one of them. This is one energy that Hashem put into the world. And because Hashem created the world with 10 spheres, therefore the world is a limited world, because the 10 spheres, each one is limited. It's Chachma Bina Das. Beyond the 10 spheres, the Oyer, which is beyond the 10 spheres, is unlimited. If Hashem would have created the world b'maimer echad, with one utterance, meaning with the essential light, which is absolutely one and unified and undefined, then the world that we'd have also would be a world which is where the unlimited light of Hashem is revealed. There wouldn't be any Halam V'Hester, there would be no concealment, there would be no limitation. Why did Hashem choose to create the world in a way that it's a limited way, in a way where there is Halam V'Hester, where Hashem is hidden? Why didn't He just create the world b'maimer echad? Why didn't He create it with the unlimited light of Hashem? And at the unlimited light of Hashem, the oir of Soiviv Kalaman should be revealed in the world. Why did He create it from a Malak Kalaman and not Soiviv Kalaman? Which is really what we're learning about here in this. And that's what the Mishnah is asking. Hashem creates the world with 10 Mamaris, which is Malak Kalaman. Why? He could have created it with Soiviv Kalaman. What is the Mishnah answer? Because if Hashem would have created the world with Seva Kalaman, there wouldn't be tzaddikim and there wouldn't be Rishayim. If the infinite light of Hashem was revealed in this world, there wouldn't be Rishayim. Because if in the face of Hashem's light, in the face of Hashem's revealed light, then there wouldn't be anyone to be able to do an Avera. That's number one. But there also wouldn't be any tzaddikim. Now you're asking, why wouldn't there be any tzaddikim? Because you can only be a tzaddik if you can be a rasha.
If you have the potential to be a rasha.
If you have the potential to be a rasha. In other words, if you were able to do Averis and you abstain from doing Averis, then you're a tzaddik. But if you can't be a rasha because you're standing in front of the infinite light of Hashem, then you also can't be a tzaddik. Just like we don't look at a malach and say, oh, what a tzaddik you are. A malach can't be a tzaddik. Why can't a malach be a tzaddik? Because a malach can't do an aveda, doesn't have free choice. The whole concept of tzaddik only exists because there's Rishoyim. So therefore, why did Hashem create the world with Mamala Kalaman as opposed to Sveva Kalaman? Because the purpose of the world is that Hashem wants to have Rishoyim and Tzaddikim, and those are only possible if the light becomes limited, becomes contracted, becomes condensed, and ultimately becomes hidden in the world. Then you have Tzaddikim, then you have Rishoyim. So the first thing Hashem wanted, not the first thing, one of the things Hashem wanted, it's actually the second thing, as we'll see soon. One of the things Hashem wanted is He wanted Tzaddikim. Why? Because Hashem created the world with 10 amaris, and what do the tzaddikim do? They're the ones who sustain the world. They keep the world going. But Hashem also wants Rishoyim. And why does Hashem want Rishoyim? Not only because without a Rasha there can't be a tzaddik, which is also true, but there's a deeper reason here. Hashem wants Rishoyim because He wants
Free choice.
Right? That's what I said. The first thing I said, not only because in the absence of Rishoyim there can't be tzaddikim, there's something deeper also. There's another reason why Hashem wants Rishoyim. And that is lihiparam in Rishoyim. And the Rebbe points out, it doesn't say lahanish Rishoyim, which means to punish the Rishoyim, even though I translated earlier as to punish. But what does lihiparam mean? What does it mean? It's the exact payment from the Rishoyim. Hashem wanted the world because He wanted an exact payment from them. What is the payment that Hashem wants to exact from Rishoyim? What is the payment that a person has to give Hashem when he does an Avera? What's the payment? Tshuva. Hashem wants payment. You did an Avera, you have to pay me back. How do you pay me back? He doesn't want to punish them. He wants the payment. The payment is Tshuva.
I have a nice answer for the prayer. Why Hashem רוצה להיפרע מהרשעים? Like a Brit Milah, you do priya and you make him a Jew.
Okay.
Jew. It's cute.
The part is also to take off the arlon to reveal. Okay.
That's it.
And what is accomplished when a person does tshuva?
Why is that important?
Why is it important to have tshuva? Why can't he? What's wrong if just everyone is tzaddikim? Because what do Rishoyim do through their tshuva? Shema abdin eso'ilam shanivra basaram amaris. They destroy the world that was created basaram amaris. The word oilam also is related to the word helam, which means concealment. Me'abdin eso'ilam, they destroy the concealment which was created because of the asaram amaris. Because what does a Baal Tshuva do? A Baal Tshuva reveals Taka, the Maimer Echad, in this world, reveals Seif Kalaman in this world. And that a tzaddik can't do. A tzaddik, what does a tzaddik do? The tzaddikim are mekayim in a soil m'shnivra basar mamaris. They operate within the boundaries of the world, within the parameters of the limited world which Hashem created, and they sustain it. And they're megala, the asarim amaris, they reveal the memalakal alman in the world. But a Baal Tshuva does much more than the tzaddik. The Baal Tshuva doesn't just reveal the asarim amaris, the Baal Tshuva is ma'abed ha'olam shnivra b'asarim amaris, destroys that helim, destroys the world and the concealment that was created through the asarim amaris, and instead reveals the maimer echad, reveals the Seivuk Alman in the world. Because b'makim shebal tshuva aimdim ein tzaddik gemurim yichelim lamed sham. Because a Baal Tshuva doesn't deal with the helam v'hester of the world, the limitation of the world. A Baal Tshuva rises above it and absolutely connects to that which is completely above and beyond the world. You have the prototypical Baal Tshuva was Rabbi Akiva. And what did Rabbi Akiva say? That Kol Yamai Hayisi Mitztayir, his entire life, all he wanted what? Was to die al Kiddush Hashem. That was his because a Baal Tshuva lives beyond the hell of a tzaddik is someone who is very happy to live in the world and to do Torah and to learn Torah and to do mitzvahs. That's all the elikus as it comes in the world. But the Baal Tshuva, because of the incredible passion and love of the Baal Tshuva for Hashem, the Baal Tshuva has a much deeper connection to Hashem. And the Baal Tshuva, all the Baal Tshuva wants is to leave the goof and to actually completely connect to Hashem and to unite with Him in a way which is higher than all the worlds. So we have a whole perek over here where we just finished learning about Malak Alman and Seivuk Alman. How Malak Alman is the air which is Nisgala in the world, and Seivuk Alman is the air which is completely above, the uncontracted light, which is completely above and beyond the world, which we can't have any connection to. So we have to know that that's taka for a tzaddik. So for those of us over here who are tzaddikim, taka, we could only Mamala Kalam can be revealed. But through the avodah of tshuva, we actually have the ability to connect to and to be able to experience in our own life, in our own neshama, a connection to Hashem, not only the limited form of Hashem which is revealed in the world, but a level of Seva Kalaman which is completely above and beyond the world. And because we have another 2 minutes left, just another, in the same sikha, the Rebbe asked something else. This is a little unrelated, but it's a geschmack of art. We know that in Pirkei Avos, in that Perek is the numbers Perek. We start off with all the 10s, and then we move on to the 7s, and move on to the 4s. It's the numbers Perek. So you have a bunch of 10s over there. It was connected to this week's parsha. Asar Nisim Nasu Lavisenu Ala Yamsuf, that 10 the Yidden experienced 10 miracles in the Yamsuf. But the Rebbe says there's one 10 which is conspicuously absent.
One out of the 10.
There's one 10. There's one thing. There's one thing which is 10, which doesn't exist there. Aser Sadibris. We're counting out. We're enumerating all the 10s. Where are the Aser Sadibris? You're going to say, well, that's mafurish in the Torah. But say that Asar Nisyonis is also mafurish in the Torah. The Yinasu Oasis are Asar Palmim. The Asar Makis are also mafurish in the Torah. Like, why would the Asar Sadibris be left out? So the Rebbe explains, what is the Mishnah doing over here? What's the kunst telling us that all the 10s? What's the point of it? But as Mefarshim on the Mishnah explained, I think the Medrash Shmuel talks about it, how 10 is a perfect number. For various reasons, even mathematically, it's a round number, but also it happens to be, everything is, the philosophers talk about everything is made up of 10. Every single object is made up of 10 different, there's 3 dimensions, and every dimension has a reish toich seif. Every dimension has a beginning, end, and middle, so that's 9. And then there's what's called the makim hasoivlam, the place where the place that it occupies. So everything is made up of 10. 10 is a complete number. So when we say that something is 10, we mean that it is complete. So we say, for example, that Basar Nisyonis Nisnas Avram Avinu, when we say that Avram Avinu had 10 Nisyonis, that means not just it's a number 9, 10, and you know what, maybe Hashem could have given him another one, been 11 or 12. No, 10 means complete. He was completely tested and completely found to be at every 10 miracles in the Beis HaMikdash means that the entire experience in the Beis HaMikdash was a miraculous one, etc., etc. So every time the Mishnah says something 10, the Mishnah is trying to tell you how complete that thing is and how perfect it is. And that's why the Aseres HaDibris aren't mentioned, because the Aseres HaDibris aren't complete and perfect because they're 10. To the contrary. The reason why everything is complete and perfect because it's 10 is because the Aseres HaDibris is 10. Because we know that the Torah is the blueprint of the world and everything in the world comes from Torah. So therefore, since the Torah is made up of the Aseres HaDibris, because the Aseres HaDibris is the yesod of the whole Torah, we know that the Rasag, he shows how every single mitzvah is alluded to in the Aseres HaDibris. So therefore, when something in the world is 10, that means it reflects its source, it reflects Torah, and therefore it's perfect. But is the Aseres HaDibris perfect because it's 10? No. If it was 11 dibris, then 11 would be the perfect number. And then everything in the world would have to be 11 to be perfect. If there was 9 dibris, then 9 would be the perfect number. In other words, 10, the fact that the Aseres HaDibris are 10 doesn't mean it's perfect. That's the reason why 10 is perfection. So therefore, you couldn't include the Aseres HaDibris in the Mishnah over here, because if you would, then you would have said, so Aseres HaDibris also, like everything else mentioned over here, the Aseres HaDibris also is perfect because it's 10. That's not correct. You can't include it in the same list. Aseres HaDibris is perfect. The Aseres HaDibris is perfect because it's Torah. And everything else is perfect because it reflects Torah. And therefore, when it's 10, and because 10 is a reflection of Torah.
Right.
Anyways, with that we've concluded Perik Memches, which was somewhat of an abstract Perik, Mamal Kalam and Seva Kalamin.
More.
And Emir Hashem, next week we will begin Perik Memtes. And next week we're going to start applying this and figuring out how this whole Mamal Kalam and Seva Kalamin, how knowing this helps us reach an incredible level of Avos Hashem.
Next week,
Shabbos, everyone.
yes,